Hi, my name is David Knight, and welcome to those amazing Psalms. Psalm 35, Fight for Me. From the opening words, Psalm 35 is about fighting for justice and vindication and dignity. Fight for me, Lord, with those who are fighting against me. If you've ever been cheated or maligned or defamed, you can appreciate the strong feelings in this psalm. It's a hostile world, and unless things change, the mob is getting away with murder. Do not be far from me, Lord. Awake, rise to my defense. The psalmist is asking God to step in and to be his advocate with the passion of a warrior on his behalf. Take up shield and armor, arise and come to my aid. Brandish spear and javelin against those who pursue me. Reassure me, Lord, that you are going to do something. Say to me, I am your salvation. The psalmist has been accused of a capital crime. His adversaries are out to destroy him with a barrage of ruthless slander, malicious character assassination, and false witnesses lying to convict him. Their trumped up charges and their hate towards him are groundless, but they are winning the day. Adding insult to injury is the fact that the singer knew these people well and was very empathetic towards them when they were in difficulty. When they were ill, I put on sackcloth and humbled myself with fasting. When my prayers for them went unanswered, I went about mourning as though for my friend or brother. I bowed my head in grief as though weeping for my mother. But when I stumbled, they gathered in glee. Psalm 35 is the lament of one man, but his story is echoed by countless victims of violence and judicial corruption down through history. Jesus himself quotes this psalm when he says, "They hated me without a cause." The psalm voices the universal cry for justice and a plea for God to step in. God, how long are you going to stand there doing nothing? Save me from their brutalities. Contend for me, my Lord and God. Vindicate me in your righteousness. Laced through the song is a kind of victim impact statement with recommendations as to how the poet thinks what the poet thinks ought to happen to his adversaries. May those who seek my life be disgraced and put to shame. May those who plot my ruin be turned back in dismay. May they be like chaff before the wind, with the angel of the Lord driving them away. May their path be dark and slippery, with the angel of the Lord pursuing them. In the previous psalm, the angel of the Lord sets up camp around the righteous and protects them. Here, the psalmist wants to see the angels carrying out God's judgments, driving the evildoers away and pursuing them into the dark and slippery side of life. Since they hid their net for me and without cause dug a pit for me, may ruin overtake them. May the net they hid entangle them, and may they fall into the pit to their ruin. And may all who gloat over my distress be put to shame and confusion. He's not just asking God to thwart their evil plans, but to bring about their ruin and their shame, which sounds malicious and vengeful. Psalm 35 is the first of 7 psalms called imprecatory psalms, prayers that God would punish those who are doing violence to others. These prayers may be partly motivated by the singer's anger and desire for revenge, but they have a value that goes much, much deeper than that. On the surface, they are praying, God, please fix this situation and ensure justice for me. But at a deeper level, they are also asking that God will restore the moral order of the world by punishing evil and vindicating the righteous, by making the world a safe place for us all. Inspired by the Holy Spirit, these psalms express God's outrage against the violence committed against God's creation and against people in God's world. And they give us a glimpse of what a restored world will look like as God judges evildoers and rescues their victims. What Psalm 35 does not reveal is how God will bring the world to rights, in a way no one expected, as God himself in the person of Jesus, voluntarily became a victim of injustice, hated without a cause, and how he allowed evil to vent its fury against him. And in that act of self-giving love would become God's announcement of good news to the whole world in the very words that the psalmist longed to hear. I am your salvation. That's how God has fought for us. There's much more to say about the imprecatory Psalms, but let me finish this meditation with how the psalmist said he would respond when God acted on his behalf. In verse 9, then my soul will rejoice in the Lord and delight in his salvation. My whole being will exclaim, who is like you, Lord? You rescue the poor from those too strong for them, the poor and needy from those who rob them. And the final verse, my tongue will proclaim your righteousness and your praises all day long. Psalm 35 is about fighting injustice with prayer and praise. And that's a fight we can all join. Take care.